Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Mecha Mike, and today we have an interesting topic that we're going to go over real quick. And it's something that's going crazy all over social media. But before we get to it, please like, comment, and share so I keep giving you guys this fire content. So, oh man, this is uh, the minute I saw this, and you guys obviously clicked on the video, so you see the topic. And man, this is a thing that annoys me about sports media is because guys play professionally and they make a lot of money and now they become analysts. And because we've given room for anybody to say whatever, people say things that are off the wall. And yes, I'm specifically talking about Austin Rivers. So, if you don't know who Austin Rivers is, he's the son of Doc Rivers, the current coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. And Austin Rivers is currently an ESPN analyst. And he was on Pat McAfee's show. And he said he said some of the most outlandish things that I had to write down some of the stuff that he said. Because basically, to sum up the title, he said 30 NBA players right now, 30 NBA players right now can play in the NFL. And when he said that, it just blew up and threw a firestorm all over social media. And the thing I really, really didn't like about the comments is that he was basically downplaying football and saying, "Oh, basketball is basically up here, and football, you guys, you just run north and south. It's not a big deal." Um, and he's saying this to Pat McAfee, who was obviously a punter in the NFL. And this is no shade to kickers or punters, but they have my respect a lot, even though they're not out there doing like the as much hitting, and a majority of what they do is kick the ball. But still, to be out there in pads, putting your life on the line, because anything can happen. Someone takes a kick to the house, a linebacker could come and take your head off. Try to kick a game winning field goal, someone might get frustrated, take out a kicker. So my hat's off to those guys because they're in the trenches when things are going down. So they wearing pads too. They wearing helmets. They can get hit. And for a basketball player that wasn't even really good in the NBA to be talking the way he was talking, that's just wild to me. And let's go over some of the comments that Austin Rivers said when he was talking to Pat McAfee. He said the NBA has the best athletes in the world. As we said, he said 30 NBA players, current NBA players, can play in the NFL. And that 30 NFL players can't play in the NBA. He also say, "Oh, you guys get a break in between plays. And all you have to do is catch the ball, run north or south. And it's not complex." That alone should have told you he don't know what he's talking about. If you don't think football is complex, tell that to a linebacker. Oh yeah, football's not complex. You just gotta watch where the ball's going and then hit the guy. It's just see it hit him. That's all you gotta do. That's and then I think even more petty than that. And I get it. It's banter. You're going back and forth with Pat McAfee. He's saying, "Oh, rappers want to be NBA players. They don't want to be football players." And then Pat McAfee kind of takes a jab at him. He's like, yeah, because it's not tough. So that should tell you something. But I wanted to talk about this, especially this one point where we said the best athletes in the world. I'm not a betting man, but I promise you that no current NBA player could probably run a 4.3. I don't think one NBA player can run a 4.3. Yes, they got the vertical. Nobody is disputing that. But so do NFL players. People act like these guys can't jump out the gym too. They jump just as high as NBA players. But we don't want to talk about that. Have you seen Tyreek Hill dunk? Okay, then. I'm just saying. Um, and then another thing, they don't understand when it comes to the skill is more important in the NFL or in the NBA than it is in the NFL. So yes, you have to be somewhat athletic to play in the NBA. But we've seen Dirk Nowitzki, you see Luca, you've seen Larry Bird. All three guys, great, and they're not what you consider athletes. Because as long as you can shoot consistently, you can dribble, you can pass, you can play in the NBA. Because nowadays you don't even got to play defense. You don't really got to play defense. And the NBA uses that excuse for certain guys to keep them in the league. Oh, he can't score like that, but oh man, he plays defense. He's a great rebounder. So you can make a career in the NBA from not being able to score. You can't do that in NFL. You can't tackle. You're not gonna last. You can't get yards. You will not last. Can't throw the ball accurately. You will not last. So every specific position, if you can't do your job, you will not last. In the NBA, you can make a career not having to score, and you can be a veteran. Look at any position in the NFL. If you don't do your job, you will not last. Left tackle can't block. You're not gonna last. Quarterback, again, you're not accurate. You're not winning games. You're not throwing the ball properly. You will not last. Wide receiver, you can't catch the ball. You will not last. DB, you can't cover people consistently. You will not last. A linebacker, again, if you cannot tackle as a linebacker, or even just stop the run as a linebacker, you will not last. But again, what do I know? And yes, there are some guys in the NBA that I think could translate, but this is the respect factor that I don't think a lot of people understand. Like if you've never played football, you don't understand how difficult it is. I remember one time I was playing, and I played on the offensive line. I wasn't great or anything at it, but I played. And I remember this guy, and this was in high school. He timed the blitz perfectly on the O line. So as quarterback snapping the ball, uh, I get out my stance, and this guy hits me with his helmet right under my throat. And man, it he jacked up my neck. Pause if necessary. It was crazy, and I'm gonna have to pause it again. It hurt to swallow for 3 weeks because my throat was so jacked up. Again, pause if necessary. I know y'all freaky out there, so I know y'all gonna take this to another level. But that pain was something I never felt before, and it really opened my eyes to understand that this is not a game. You go out there, someone can take your life. It's not a game. Like, and also when it comes to and it's not to downplay basketball. I think basketball is one of the most difficult sports to play. And it's harder to transition to basketball because the skill set. Well, obviously the height. That's the main thing. If you don't got the height, you're not gonna last. But to develop that skill set to be effective is so difficult and it takes years. But put some respect on football too. It takes forever to build that skill set to be able to play effectively. I'm not saying guys can't transition. You see rugby players, they do it. But when was the last rugby player you saw was a star in the NFL? You can transition. I'm talking about to play at an elite level. That's very, very difficult because a lot of it is mentality. Just to take a hit alone, you could talk and say whatever you want. Like they always said, uh, a lot of these NBA players played football, then they got hit. That's what turned them to basketball players. And obviously, I know the guaranteed money, blah blah blah. That's true, but it, and this is another thing that is disrespectful because he talked about them being the best athletes in the world, but in the NFL, all that doesn't matter. Jerry Rice, one of the greatest wide receivers in history, wasn't this premier athlete. His 40 time probably would have been drafted in the first round of this NFL just off his 40 time alone, but he was one of the best. And let's even look at size and strength in the NFL because people will say, oh, that's as long as you have size and speed, you can make it. Well, let's go, for example, bench press. Uh, there's a guy, Stephen Paea, D tackle out of Oregon State, currently holds the record for most for benching 225 the most. He benched it. He had 49 reps. He lasted 7 years in the NFL, and nobody knows his name. Nobody can tell you what team he played for because being strong is not enough to make a career in the NFL and be successful. Yeah, you can be strong. They'll give you opportunity, but the guy that had the most reps, nobody knows who he is. Let's go to the 40 because everybody want to talk about speed. Well, Xavier Worthy currently has the record. He ran 4.21, but he beat the record this year, so he hasn't started in the NFL yet. Got picked up by the Chiefs in the first round, but he hasn't played a snap his rookie season. But the previous guy, John Ross, ran a 4.22 in 2017. No NFL, I can guarantee no NBA player can run that. So, but John Ross, basically a bust in the NFL, has all the speed, but no NFL team has been able to make his speed translate to yardage or impact on the field. So I say this to say it's not just having the speed or the size. It doesn't always translate to football. And we've seen guys. Well, remember Draymond? Oh, Draymond can play. We look at Draymond's film at Michigan State. He wouldn't have lasted in the NFL. Oh, he could be on the D line. He might have the size, but he didn't have the mentality, and he doesn't have the technique. That takes years to get that down. That's why he went to. Well, he was. I think he was playing basketball beforehand, but he's playing basketball. And yes, he made a career out of basketball. He's a really good basketball player. He wouldn't have made it in football. It just is what it is. And even look at guys like Tim Tebow. He was a quarterback. He tried to make a transition to tight end. It didn't go well Because even in football, going from one position to another is not guaranteed. You can be an athlete. That does not matter in the NFL. There's a reason why in the NFL they don't, like in college where they'll recruit some guys, say, "Oh, he's an athlete." That don't work in the NFL. You got to pick a position and be good at it. Being an athlete, can't make a career off that. You got to be good at something. And what's crazy about Austin Rivers that he just and I get it, and you could just tell inflated ego, privileged kid. Well, he's older than me, so I can't say kid, a privileged adult, but he was talking like a kid because it didn't make no sense. Let's run down his resume because he was talking so heavy about football. Let's talk about Austin Rivers' resume. This man averaged in his career 8.2 points per game. Talks heavy. In his career, could only average 8 points. Okay. Average 2 rebounds. Average 2 assists. So he was basically a glorified role player, if that. Never been an all star. I don't even think he was top 20, top 30 at his position. And like I said, he only had 2 seasons where he averaged 10 points a game. Talking heavy. And I think the worst part of it was that basically his dad saved his career. Nobody, a lot of people don't talk about it. His dad saved his career. They traded for him in 2015 when he was on the decline. Because before that, he was averaging under 8 points per game as a top 10 draft pick. He was on his way out the league, and his daddy had to save him. But he taught heavy on ESPN. For me, that just doesn't make sense. Because one, you have that job at ESPN because of your dad. Two, the only reason you made a career out the NBA was because of your dad. So the fact that you talk as if, oh, football players are just basically beneath you and they're not that good, or it's so easy, oh, I could go out there. No, you can't. You cannot go out there and play. Them boys would take your life out there. Don't do that to yourself. Especially someone that, when you look at their history, has had a lot of privilege. And I spoke on it. Daddy saved your career. Daddy got you at ESPN. It wasn't because of what you did. It's because people like your dad. The media loves your dad. They love your dad so much that for some reason they got the Bucks to fire their head coach and bring Doc Rivers in to do nothing in the playoff time. But it's just, it's like I said, that privilege is what irks me. Um, Football is a dangerous sport. It's a contact. It's no, not contact. It's a collision sport. Basketball is a contact sport. They made rules for flopping. Guys, they get touched and they look like they got punched in the face the way some of these guys just flying around. NFL, that's regular. Go flop in the NFL, see what happens. And yes, I know wide receivers, DBs do that. Try to get, I get that. Trenches, open field, they gonna hit you. Try flopping when they run a route around them linebackers. Man, better keep your head on the swivel, or your head gonna get taken off. That's different. And I think the greatest part about this was the complete annihilation that James Jones did on Speak. He just cooked Austin Rivers. Let's listen to that real quick.
They put in a flop rule in the NBA because you guys are soft.
Oh, no. Oh, God. See, now you guys started.
You guys started a trend of rest games. That's what y'all started. And now y'all want extra votes and all that type of stuff to win the MVP because you only play 22 games out of 82. Y'all started that, so y'all all sorry. Number two, you said 30 dudes. If you would have said one dude, maybe Anthony Edwards could play safety or something, I'd have listened to you or something like that. You said 30 dudes. No. Number one, put respect on our sport. That's number one. It is not just run and catch the ball and turn around. It ain't just hand the ball off and do that. It takes a lot of work at your craft to do what we do on the football field. And Austin Rivers, if you stepped on the football field, homeboy, you wouldn't make it. We know that right now.
Not at all.
Because you barely made it in the NBA. And I'm just keeping it a buck. Football is not an easy game, dog. That's why a lot of football players, basketball players that stepped on the football field, step right back on the basketball court because it's not an easy game. It's a lot that goes into the NFL. And you're not about to walk into the NFL and think you're just about to catch and turn around. Try again, homeboy. Do your research on the NFL, man. Watch some football games, old games, new games, whatever you want to watch, and catch up on it, man, because 30 dudes in the NFL and the NBA ain't doing that, homeboy.
Drop the mic.
May 8th,
Drop the mic.
2024, James Jones, day to go in.
Sheesh. Sheesh. After that brutal beatdown from James Jones, there's not much more for me to say. I just gotta say, Austin Rivers, you're not that guy, plain and simple. And I know we live in this social media age where we gotta say all these outlandish things for clicks and views. But remember, you're on ESPN because of your dad and because you played in the NFL, but mainly because of your dad. So remember that you can't speak on football because you don't know nothing about it. You play basketball. You know basketball. I'll give you that. But you don't know enough about football to make statements like that. But again, I know it's for the views. You're on ESPN. You want people to look at you and talk about you. I get it. But please educate yourself on the sport before making wild accusations like that. You never know. You might learn something about the sport of football before you say how much it's not basically difficult. But again, that's just how I feel. It is what it is. But that's all I got to say about that subject. But thank you guys for watching and supporting this channel. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And tell me what you think. Do you really think that 30 current NBA players can play in the NFL? I don't think so, but that's just me. So again, thank you for watching, and I'm out.